So, what would you suggest for someone who might have a tripod injury? What would you suggest they do, or what a family should do to help the person who had a tripod injury?
I think I know my parents were considering, like, there was definitely like different rehabs that you could go to. I definitely think I went to Pinecrest in Delray, and I think they were fantastic. I did 3 therapies every day. Mm-hmm. It was a lot for me, but I remember my mom saying, like, she's like, well, I want to leave her here rather than sending her to Georgia because I want her to be around friends. A lot of my friends live right there, so everyone would come visit during their lunch break at work, and so it was just like always a party. And that's sort of like the way I lived my life then. You know, I was 29 and everything was like a party and let's go here, let's go there. So I think all the support and everything was very good for me. And so I think just having good support around you is good, and having people like appease you a little bit so you don't think you're crazy, because I was definitely crazy for a little bit. Like, I did not understand anything, and my sisters would joke around, like, they're out of state, and I would call them, we'd talk at night, and they're like, okay, you have to go to bed now. And I'm like, I don't have to go to bed now. And they're like, you're getting a little bit crazy. And it was like our running joke, and I'm like, I'm not tired. Like, and I was like fighting everything, but anyone who's close to me knew, and they could sense it. And so it's like having a good support group around, I think, is definitely key.
I think for like the family members having to deal with it, it was like she said, it's good to have a support group, but it's like also good to have a support group like for you. Like again, I told you we were dating at the time, but you know, we were in a serious relationship, and like it was heartbreaking for me because here I am so far away, and really I had nobody around to like kind of bounce this off of. Luckily, even though we live so far away, we're from the same town, so right. Like some of the same friends were like, hey Martin, what's going on? So like I was kind of like a liaison, just kind of updating everybody on how her progress is or wasn't, but it's good to kind of have that, like that your tribe. And then also, I mean, I guess it's very similar, like anybody that may have like a serious injury or a terminal illness, it's like, hey, find your support groups, find as much research as you can, go ahead and like, you know, consider that second opinion on certain things. I mean, some of these, you got to realize, like, you know, like we said, there was a chance she wasn't going to wake up. Okay, well, what are your options for that? Like, if she's not going to wake up, how long are you going to wait? Like, we didn't know. We just kind of were blessed enough that she finally woke up on her own, you know? So having those out there, and then having somebody that's accountable, that makes her accountable, because like I said, she was a schmoozer. Yeah. So people would be like, oh, like, you know, like, do you know what time it is? She's like, of course I know what time it is. Who doesn't know what time it is? It's lunchtime.
Read a
because
she had no idea what
because she just eats. She's like, of course I know, it's lunchtime. Like, I got this. And then I'm like, no, she doesn't. What time is it? What's that clock say right now? And she'd be like, I don't know. But maybe. They were like, oh, she's got it. Like, you know, it's good to have that person that knows you. And but yeah, and you know, like anything else, it's just like a lot of rest.
Yeah, like, I would say that was probably a lot of it. Like, I think I slept a lot during the day, you know, because I was just in rehab. I couldn't walk. Like, you had to learn how to walk again after that. Yeah. So I had to learn how to walk in a walker because my leg was broken, and I had a huge neck brace on because I broke my neck. I broke my C2 vertebrae. So here I am hobbling along. Like, I mean, it was a sight. Like, it was ridiculous. And so I remember leaving the rehab and then finally going home. I think me and my mom might have went out to breakfast that day, and everyone's like, what happened to you? And it was like, that's what I would get everywhere. And I'm like, it's just an accident. I'm fine. Everything's fine, you know? Just so I can move.
I think you would like to maybe, for people to know, it's like there are, almost like with any type of injury, like there are similarities between a lot of things, but like every single scenario is completely different. So right. It's like, just because you know, she had that like similar trait that the other person in that documentary had, like their long-term outcomes were completely different. So, you know, I don't.
But it's good when you don't know what, like, I think it was good for me to see like what other families go through, like I mean, because they're my family. I don't know what I put them through. So, like, that's why I'm now much more cautious, and I, respect everything. Like, I give everything the grace, and I'm like, okay, let's not do this. Let's be careful.
Yeah. I mean, it's like cliche, but it's like, you hope for the best, but you should prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
So you should prepare for, obviously, it's going to be life-changing either way, but prepare for the worst outcome. And then as that person hopefully comes out of the coma themselves, or maybe they just weren't in one, they just suffered from the brain injury itself. It's like, all right, listen, this is the worst it can be, but we're not going to focus on this. We're going to get this person to the best they can be. And if that means, that's 75% of who they were, great, then we're going to try to push for 80. So I don't even want to say set realistic expectations, because whose expectations are there? Because according to the doctors, she shouldn't be where she is.
That's what they had said. I do recall that. The doctors had said...
Push the best you can, but support the person the best you can. It's kind of weird.
I do remember with the brain injury that they had said that I would get back to where I was, but I would never learn anything new. And these are what my medical doctor said, and that's absolutely not true, because I've learned a lot since then, things I didn't know before. I mean, I definitely got back the skills that I knew before, but I can absolutely say I've learned new things, like even in accounting with different types of law. Like I've definitely learned new things. Like it's not like I'm just like, okay, like let's say you got to like a 6-year-old's reading level, you'll get back there, but you'll never go beyond that. Like I have. So it's not always what the doctors say. You gotta keep challenging and pushing, and everyone will get there.
Yeah, I think about that.
Yeah.
We went a lot of.
Right.
Do you ever wish that this never happened?
No. I mean, obviously, like, probably before I did, but I mean, everything now, like, it's a part of who I am. I think especially before too, like I'd wanted kids before. I've had so many surgeries. I have endometriosis, and then like, when we got married, I was like, oh, like I was like, when we were engaged, I was like, we should be trying. And he's like, we're not trying. And I'm like, I want to have a baby. Like we were older. I think we were like 32 then. And I was just like, oh, like, I don't think it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. And we got married and I got pregnant. I knew for sure I was pregnant 2 weeks after. I was like, I just felt it. I felt different. And he's like, you're not pregnant. It's just the hormones, like from being off birth control. And I'm like, no, it's not the hormones. I am pregnant. I know it. And then Maya came 9 months later, like to the day. Like it was just like made to be. Like, and so it's just like, one of my doctors had said that when you're in a coma, your body resets itself. And that's why he thinks that I got pregnant and I had my baby and then had another one. So, I mean, if my most horrific accident caused my biggest miracles, I'll take it.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could have done without the accident.
I know,
but not without the kids. So
yeah,
and it's a lot easier to say that when it's not happening to you.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
If I could trade places, I would rather do that. But
yeah. Yep.
But we're one of the fortunate,
right?
Families.
And that's what I said.
A great outcome for what happened.
Have you ever had to go to jury duty?
Never. Knock on everything. I'm going to get a note tomorrow.
It's a gift to us.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
I've never been to one either.
Really?
I'm wondering if that's why. I'm actually wondering if that's why.
Ooh, I don't know.
It's funny.
We're gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to find out. I've never even been called.
Does TBI?
Right, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really wonder because they had to
there's a plus
report to. That's how I lost my license, because the doctors had to report that I had a medical injury, like brain injury. So like that's how I lost my license. It wasn't like someone reported me and was like, "Oh, sorry," like it was the hospital. Like that's their due diligence. So like this person should not be operating a vehicle. Like, they've gone through hell and back. So I'm like,
Wow.
it's crazy. That's what I think. Like, if I could help, I mean, obviously I don't have like any kind of medical background, but if it's like just support or anything that I could say, or people look at my story and be like, okay, you can do this too, because look at this miracle can happen to you. It can. So I would love, like, to work with people and to help people
100%.
in any way.
Exactly.
Like, I remember, like, it was a couple years ago now, a deputy for the sheriff's office had a car accident, and I was like, oh, is he gonna have this, like, oh, you should put them in touch with this. And Martin's like, relax, like, you're spewing out too many things, we don't know where it's at, like, just go easy on everything. But I would love to help anyone with anything, like, if it's just an example, like, this is my story. It's like, I don't think I could help like a victim of this, but I could help the family. That's what I think. Like, I'm like, I could help you guys. I'd be good for that. I think.
It really is. I mean, it's one of those, like, hey, you can't tell me that there isn't like a higher power. There's no way you get, like, there's no convincing me otherwise.
Yeah.
That this is nothing. There is nothing short of a miracle. There's no. I mean, I can't think. I'm not a genius, but, like, I'm not stupid, and I can't think of another explanation for the final outcome of her life after something like that happened.
Yeah.
It was by far one of the worst parts of her life. Yeah. One of the worst parts of my life and her family. And it's like, at the end of the day, it was like, here she is, 12 years later. We have 2 beautiful kids. We've been married. She doesn't completely hate me all the time, and it's just like, and we've known each other for a few years now, Dave. It's like, you would never know, you'd never know. And it's not like we're trying to hide this big secret, but it's just like, hey, that was a part of our life, but that's not our lives. Like, it just didn't define who she was, and she just kept going. So,
for sure.
There's no convincing me that, like, God didn't have a hand in her miracle. So, I helped.
Definitely.
Here's your question. Hi, thanks for watching my video. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll see you next time.